Great. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to jump on with Zunesis and Carbonite here. We've got a number of things that we're hoping to talk to you about today that'll hopefully be pretty interesting given the climate of the world that we're in and just kind of the way that everything's really changed over the past couple of months. It's become more important than ever, really, to make sure that your systems are secure and that everything is protected, given that there are so many more points of entry today with everyone working from home and everything else like that. So we really do appreciate you taking the time out of your busy days to jump on with us. So for those of you who may or may not be familiar with Carbonite, let me know if this changes. Did that come through? Good. So what Carbonite is we're an open text company. We were acquired by Open Text there at the turn of the year, and they're an enterprise-grade kind of document management, data management company. And where we fill the niche inside that stack is that we really do provide what we like to call cyber resilience to our customers. What this means is we have a good number of backup and protection solutions that can really help close the loop on a lot of those systems that are out there in the workplace, right? So we really want to make sure that your edge is secured. And by that, we mean everything from the endpoint to the server stack, right? So there's a lot of different things out there, a lot of new threats that are happening out there in the workplace, given that everybody's working remotely. Forbes had an article come out recently that said the largest cyber attack is very likely to happen within the next 6 months. And this is something that we see day in and day out in the business that we're in. We tend to see kind of the ugly side of things at times, right? I mean, we're not really here to help somebody out on their best day. We're here to help you out during the worst case scenario that could possibly happen. And so that's what Carbonite's here to do to help is really make sure that those things are protected so that in the event, we can help protect you in the event that something happens. We can also help you restore you in the event that the bad actors did get inside your environment, right? So we're here to help you protect your edge and secure it is the goal. So for a few introductions, my name's Eric George. I'm the channel account manager for Carbonite. We are here, and I've got a thing that's telling us there's no volume. Can somebody do a quick volume check for me? Let me know. Dustin, am I coming through okay for you?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Well, I'll continue on then. So like I said, my name's Eric George. I'm the channel account manager for Carbonite. I've been with the company going on 8 years now in a couple of different roles, and I'm excited to be working with our partners here at Zunesis to help bring you some of the information today. The fellow you just heard spoken is Dustin Bestrel. He's our engineer. He's our solutions architect for you. And he's also been with the company probably around at the same time. We both, I think, started pretty close to each other. And he's been in a number of different roles from support to installation and now, of course, with the solutions architect role. So we're excited to kind of bring this to you. We've also got Philip Conkar on the line from Carbonite. And we're here to help you in the event that you have any questions for us here after the fact. Good. So the agenda that we've got today is we're looking at, of course, some introductions that we just ran through. And then, again, we want to talk about the problems that are facing us all today, given the new just kind of environment that we're all facing. A lot of folks have gone out and pushed a whole ton of people remote, our own company included, right? And that has created a problem in the event that there's a lot more entry points into your environment than there was maybe 2 or 3 months ago, right? So the world has changed, and we need to find a way to help people protect and secure it, because a lot of folks may be thinking about, how to get some file shares out there, how to get folks working. Are you on Office 365? Are there different ways to get your folks working mobile? But in the event that they may not be thinking necessarily about securing it from a virus or a ransomware perspective, and especially when it comes to those endpoints, a lot of people don't necessarily think about backup either, right? You've got to make sure that all the data that's on those devices is protected in the event that something does get in, right? So those are the things that we're here to talk about today. And then, of course, at the end of the discussion here, we'll have a call to action. We've got some offers that we hope you'll find intriguing. So with all that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Dustin and let you get through to the meat of the conversation here.
Thanks, Eric. I appreciate it. As Eric previously mentioned, my name is Dustin Bestrel. I'm a solutions engineer with Carbonite, now Open Text. Been with the company about 8 years. as a side note, I'm also in the Air Force Reserves, and I work comm on the Air Force side, so I have a lot of experience with kind of what we're talking about today when we're talking about protecting your edge. Now, when we say don't lose your edge, you got to protect it, what we're talking about is where the data is residing in your network. Now, what we bring to the table in terms of what we're trying to tell the story about in terms of cyber resiliency is an entire suite of products. It starts with our products that protect your network, protect your endpoints through antivirus, DNS protection, security awareness training. That's on the web root side of things. Now, as Eric mentioned, kind of told the story of where we came from, what Carbonite was doing in the market space, and really what OpenText did when purchasing Carbonite, and really what they wanted to provide is an entire suite of products to really provide that cyber resiliency. Now, when we say cyber resiliency, what we mean the ability to bounce back when something happens, because as we know, it will happen, and it's just a matter of when, not if, but when. And before I jump in here, I want to tell a story too that might give us a little personal connection with what we're talking about today. This is something that Eric and I just experienced this last week with a customer. We'll call them ABC customer. So ABC company, they're a 24-hour company, and they recently suffered a ransomware attack. They're a 24-hour company, so somebody during the middle of the night decided to click on a malicious email. Well, ABC company did not have a backup in place for their infrastructure servers as well as their endpoint. They did have an antivirus in place. However, the antivirus wasn't as sophisticated as the antivirus that we offer, the web root endpoint security. With this customer, the ransomware was introduced, encrypted their network, took them down. Since they didn't have any backups, they weren't really able to recover any data. They had to pay the ransom. So what we did and what we've been working with the last week with them is introducing our server backup solution moving forward to protect their servers, their virtual hypervisor servers running on VMware, as well as their endpoints. On our endpoint backup, that's our Carbonite endpoint backup you see there on the screen, and the web root endpoint security, as well as the DNS protection. So it's an entire suite of products now that they have in place moving forward to protect them. What differentiates the web root side of things, as you see on your screen here, the left side of it, is our Bright Cloud Threat Intelligence. And that's something I want to highlight when I'm talking about the antivirus side of things. This is really an AI learning threat intelligence. Those of you who may be aware of how malware, viruses, and such work, right? Historically, what we're looking at is the signatures of that. We're a little different. We do look at the signatures, but what we analyze is the behavior and analytics of how those processes are carried out on the endpoints. Because our endpoint client is real time, meaning we're talking to the cloud in real time down to the second, we're able to report all of those analytics across our 80 million plus endpoints that are out there and gather that data to provide us a detailed analysis of what are the processes that are out there, what are the polymorphic signatures of those processes, because they're always changing, and really getting down to the zero-day threats. So that's how we're able to differentiate ourselves versus the other antivirus solutions that are out there. It's an awesome product. I run it on my computers, and this customer that I mentioned, they're running it moving forward. Another part of this, as we talk about cyber resiliency, it all starts with training our users. So that's really where our security awareness training comes in. It's a platform that you can use to create email campaigns, phishing campaigns, generate analytics of which users are clicking on emails, like this company, for example. That's an opportunity there for this user to understand what they did and the impact to the company. Maybe they were unaware. Maybe they need more training. And that's really where the security awareness training platform comes in. Obviously, we have our endpoint security, DNS. The DNS filter works on or off the network. It's to the cloud, meaning as endpoints are traveling around the world, as our employees are working remote, we can enforce the DNS policy instead of having to rely on our network and tax our network for that DNS. We can utilize the WebRoot cloud to run that DNS filter so the agents are communicating in real time, block those URLs, and protect the endpoints. Then we talk about backup. After we stop the threats, some of those threats will get through, and that's just a sad case of things, right? Because things happen. With that, we want to back up our data because we need to give ourselves a point in time for recovery. Not just backing up because of those threats, but backing up data maybe because data retention requirements are in place for whatever industry we're in. Maybe users are accessing files and they need to be able to recover their files as they create, delete, move them across their server or their endpoint. So the Carbonite endpoint protection, it's a thin client, runs on laptops, Windows, Mac OS, desktops, protects the user files, gives them a friendly, nice interface to recover files from, as well as an administrative central dashboard. It's really an awesome product. The two words I love to describe about this solution is it's flexible and it's scalable. It's flexible, meaning we can work with any organization of any size, and it's scalable, meaning we can scale across different regions. We can scale across different platforms. We're running this in the cloud, so we can meet all the sovereignty, data sovereignty concerns for the different geographic locations that may be there. Then we talk about our Office 365. Some of you may be using Office 365 today. Some of you may not. There's a mixed bag out there. But those of you who are utilizing Office 365, whether that's just OneDrive, maybe you're utilizing it with SharePoint, Teams, and just really on board on the whole platform that Office 365 offers. It's an awesome solution. And Microsoft's posture with this really is high availability. They want to make sure those resources are available to us, and it's important today because we need to be able to access our email. We need to get to our OneDrive. But the question is, what if something happens to that data? What if we need to recover an entire SharePoint site or restore permissions only? Microsoft doesn't provide backups. They provide limited administrative site rollbacks, soft delete, recycle bin policy from OneDrive, but for the most part, that's not going to meet an organization's need when it comes to data recovery, point-in-time recovery, granular options, data retention going back 6 months, a year, 7 years. That's not going to be there. So what we do is we integrate directly with Office 365. We back up all the content. We allow cross-site restore. You can restore from multiple domains to a single domain, cross-users, all kinds of features and functions. It's an awesome solution. And then our server backup. Going back to that customer example we talked about. This is our server backup solution for those of you who may have infrastructure servers that you're still utilizing, maybe on-premise Exchange, SQL, maybe Oracle databases. Could be Linux servers, Unix, Solaris, HPUX, maybe iSeries. If any of those operating systems ring a bell to you and, hey, I'm using that, that's something I need a backup for, this is a solution that we can use to back those up. And it runs either to our cloud, on-premise, or hybrid solutions. There's different recovery options from the OS to file level. And then we integrate with the hypervisor, Hyper-V, VMware. There's a lot of features and functions. And this product, I like to say, is also flexible and scalable because of the way we can architect it. And then we have our high availability products. That's how are we going to recover the data, right? We talked about training, blocking, protecting, backing up, now recovering it. We can recover it with the backups, but how are we going to quickly recover it? If you ask yourself today, how much downtime could I afford if server A were to go down? What would that cost you? With our solution, Carbonite Availability, Carbonite Recover, pretty much the push of a button, you can instantly fail over a server either into our cloud or to your own hosted site. Awesome byte-level asynchronous replication, real-time testing available with this, You can fail over to test without actually failing over, see it in action. And then our Carbonite form. By the way, these products here, if any of you are familiar with the name Double Take, that's where this came from. Carbonite purchased that product a couple years back, and this makes up a high availability platform here that we have. The Carbonite Migrate, maybe you have OSs that are out of date, maybe some Windows 2000, Windows 2003. Yes, I know, there's still some out there, and people still are utilizing it as for whatever requirement. Our solution here, Carbonite Migrate, we can assist with the migration of migrating across older platforms to newer platforms. And it's not just physical to physical. We can migrate physical to virtual, virtual to physical, virtual to cloud, and any configuration you can think of, we can help with that. Nutanix ready. We can help with SQL modernization. There's a lot of products here that make up our entire suite of why we're telling the story today of being cyber resilient. So we kind of talked about this, and this is really just addressing how the issues today. These are just the challenges we're facing, right? I mean, we're all dealing with this pandemic, this coronavirus, remote workforce, people taking laptops home. These are new threat vectors that are out there that we never had to deal with as system administrators before. The last 20 years, we've never had this. This is unique in our history. So because of this, and I think Eric mentioned the stat, ransomware, hackers, malware, phishing campaigns, all of this is on the rise. And with that, introduces new threats to our network. Microsoft has seen almost an 800% increase in cloud utilization for Office 365. You can see the number there. Awesome. I cannot believe that percentage increase. And it's a great platform, high availability, and you all know about why we need to back that up. We talked about that, as well as just bad actors that are out there really preying on people's emotions, thoughts, feelings that are happening today, clicking on links. There's just a lot of new threats today that we haven't had to deal with, especially targeted around the coronavirus. I think there was if I recall correctly, a study that was recently released that stated that 2% of all new websites within the last 30 or 60 days, or it's either 30 or 60 days, are all around the coronavirus, malicious websites. And there's a lot of evil people out there, and it's really sad. I'm sure you all have seen it, getting these weird text messages, phone calls, maybe a Facebook video popping up in your messenger feed. There's people out there that are looking to take down, either our country or our business, or maybe just our personal life. There's a lot of bad actors out there, and it's really sad. So let's talk about Office 365. We kind of addressed this. What is the risk you run if you don't back up your Office 365 data? Teams. How are you going to recover Teams? If something is deleted on the administrative side, as you know, when you create Teams, there's not just Teams data that's associated with that. There's SharePoint. There's other content that's created on the Office 365 side. SharePoint. What if a junior administrator decides to change permissions to a site that maybe your CEO, CTO, or VP needs to log into and present on? And, hey, I don't know what happened. He can no longer access this. Who changed the permissions? With Microsoft Office 365, there's no way for you just to restore permissions only. You have to perform a destructive restore, meaning you're going to roll back the data to the point in time that you finally discovered when the permissions were changed, and you lose all of your content from that point forward. With our solution, restore permissions only. Easy. Click of a button. Really, honestly, it takes a few clicks just to restore permissions only. What about OneDrive? If you don't back it up. If ransomware is introduced to an endpoint, that will replicate to those file sync shares and make those versioning and files inaccessible. We need to back up that data. What about emails? What if you have a user that leaves the company? Are you going to continue to pay the licensing on the Microsoft side? What if somebody deletes an email? What if we need to restore content for the purpose of e-discovery? With our solution, we provide avenues for performing those functions. Whatever you think of, we can meet those needs. I talked about this quickly. What we offer is the ability for you to be able to quickly recover data. There's a lot of features and functions about it. When we talk about what differentiates us between not doing anything versus using our solution, we can cover all of those applications. It's because this solution is a pure cloud solution. It's agentless. There's nothing for you to download, nothing for you to install. It's a simple web interface that you log into, link to your Office 365 tenant account, and we have a dynamic object scan that we run. So as you add users, remove users, add SharePoint sites, remove them, etc., we're going to scan it and pick up those changes, recognize it, and include that. So you don't need to go in, log in. Pretty much, if I can sum it up, it's a set it and forget it solution that offers you a lot of features and functions when it comes to the administrative functions as well as the recovery functions. Obviously, we talked about this. The whole remote workforce, the new threat vectors that are out there. There's a lot of new avenues in which we're leaving our businesses exposed. Whether that's somebody deleting something, a laptop getting stolen because they left it in their car and needed to get some coffee or some lunch somewhere, and there it goes. What if ransomware gets introduced? We talked about that. Happened with our example customer. What if somebody's laptop crashes and fails? How are we going to recover that data? And some of you may be saying, well, we have a policy in place where users need to upload their files to a share drive or some file sync share program. Well, that's true if we could rely on our end users to actually do that. There's a Gartner report published that 45% of data, on average, 45% of user data that's company data is outside of the company's control. That means there's 45% of content that's not in these avenues that we're using for quote-unquote backup. There's a lot of opportunity there for these different we'll call them accidents to happen to the end user, right? User error, ransomware, hardware failure, loss or theft, name it. Those case studies are up there for you to read. So how do we back it up? This is with our Carbonite endpoint backup solution. This is a thin client that runs on the endpoints. Where we run on, like I mentioned, Mac and Windows. We're able to protect the user files. This is a pure cloud solution, so we run directly to the cloud. It runs in Azure, so we're able to meet the different geo-sovereignty concerns. We can meet the different global Azure regions. If you have your own Azure, we can run it in there too. It's all managed through a web interface that administrators have complete control over. You can deploy the client silently. You have control over how the backups behave. That's how frequent the backups run, which, by the way, we can back up up to a minute. The default's every 15 minutes. We can back up to a minute, as well as the largest file size we can back up, which is 40 gigs, as well as other administrative functions. One of the examples I like to use now with this whole remote workforce thing is, what if one of your users gets fired or gets let go? How are we going to recover the data that's on that laptop? How are we going to ensure that we actually get that laptop back? Sure, we can take it out of their check, but how are we going to ensure that we get that equipment back and nothing happens to the data that's running on that laptop? With our solution, we can do a remote wipe command. So the data that they were using and we were backing up, boom, deleted, gone from their laptop. We still have it in the cloud to recover from, to protect you as a company, but the user no longer has access to it. It's a huge feature. We can also do remote tracking. We're going to report the IP address. We can turn it off, by the way, but we can report the IP address of the device, know where the user is, know where the device has been. Helps us track down our stolen or lost assets. And then we can put the data on legal hold. maybe come under litigation for whatever reason, we can keep that data indefinitely on the vault, so nothing happens to it. It's not deleted. There's a lot of features and functions available with this, like I mentioned. Awesome solution. I also run this on all my computers, my friends' computers. It's a great solution, really easy to use for the end user as well to restore files. So we talked about the data being outside of our control, huge number, and really it's only growing. With the introduction of the remote workforce, it's only going to get bigger. How are we going to enforce that? Maybe it's a company-issued laptop, maybe it's a bring-your-own-device, but we still need to protect the data. So, and we'll just jump back here. And this is the last piece of what we're talking about today. We're talking about the malware that's really being targeted at that small to mid-market business space, right? You can see the stats out there. Over half of SMBs experience breaches. And I'm sure all of you have been reading it in the news lately. Just the other day, GoDaddy over, and I want to say 40 million, but I don't remember the number. It's somewhere around that. Maybe it could be 80 million, somewhere around that. But 40 million or so accounts and the usernames were breached and stolen by hackers. You know, it's happening every day. This customer example we talked about, happening every day. I'm sure you heard about the law firm that manages high-profile celebrities. They were also hacked. You know, our president of the United States, now they want a $52 million ransom from him, or they'll release information. It's happening, and it's happening today, and it's happening all across the board. We've seen an uptick within the last few months like we have never seen before. We're able to report on this because of the way our clients communicate to the cloud in real time across these 80 million endpoints. So we are seeing ransomware attacks on the rise, and they're really going after businesses hard. For whatever reason, we have seen it, and it's really sad that there are people out there that want to take advantage of it. That's where we come in. We want to give you an avenue that's going to give you a solution to protect yourself. So obviously these are some stats that are here that by some different reports that were published. One that sticks out to me here, 95% of malware is unique to a single PC. That is crazy. That is telling me that there's a lot of bad actors out there who are scripting and have either a lot of time on their hands or getting paid a lot of money to do something very malicious. Obviously how long it takes us to discover a breach. Fortunately, this customer we talked about today, they discovered the breach right away because their data was inaccessible. But a lot of times we don't know that. These hackers like to get in, they'll plant homing devices that'll report back whatever information they're trying to steal from us. And we don't even know this on our network. They're using common ports, right? That's where our solution comes in. Hey, what is this process that's running on here? What is the port that it's using? Hey, this doesn't look right compared to these other 80 million endpoints. Something's off with this. Let's take a look at it. Oh, it's doing something malicious. We're going to go ahead and stop it. That's how our antivirus is able to protect the endpoints in real time. By the way, it runs not just on laptops and desktops, but we install it on all of our servers too. We talked about the security awareness training, how we can simulate phishing attacks, gather analytics for who's clicking on what, and provide them training. Another thing to note here, if maybe there's some type of compliance that we need to adhere to, and you're looking to switch vendors of how you're meeting those compliance for all of your users, maybe everyone needs to go through HIPAA training or something of that nature. Oh, with our SAT, we can do that. We have a lot of different trainings available in here, not just for the purpose of sending out email campaigns for phishing and simulated attacks, but there's a lot of information available in here. And then lastly, this is our endpoint security. We already talked about that. The DNS protection here. How this works, this is real time. And by the way, DNS and the webroot endpoint security all run through the Bright Cloud threat intelligence. So it's not just the endpoint, but the DNS as well. We're able to get up-to-date list of malicious IPs. And if any of you are wondering, and maybe you don't have a URL or IP checker, that maybe on your phone you go to. Somebody sends you a link. If you look up Google Bright Cloud or WebRoot URL lookup IP checker, you can just paste the IP address in there. I have that bookmarked. I've saved that bookmark, and I've sent it to my wife, my friends. I'm like, hey, if you ever get an email with the link, it says click here, don't click on it. If you want to know if it's real, go ahead and take that URL, paste it into the URL lookup, or just go to the website directly. But it's an awesome solution. The DNS protection, we're able to enforce the DNS policy for blacklisted or whitelisted URLs across the endpoints, whether they're on the domain or off the domain. And we're not leveraging our network. We're using the cloud for this. So it doesn't matter where the endpoints are. It's awesome. So what do we need to do? We want to help. We're going to extend free trials for the different products, 60-day trials for endpoint, backup for Office 365, the WebRoot endpoint protection, the DNS protection, as well as security awareness training. So if any of you are interested in this, want to see what it looks like, how it's going to behave, I invite you all to give this a try. Awesome solution. Really, what we want to be in partnering with Zunesis is a one-stop shop, that vendor that you know you can come to who knows what they're talking about. By the way, for any of the WebRoot customers, maybe you have experience or in the past, or if you do experience some type of ransomware attack, we have an advanced malware removal team. That customer I gave an example of, even though they weren't a customer yet, we understood the importance of what they were going through and really wanted to help them. So our advanced malware removal team was able to get into the customer's network, determine where the attack point was, what threat vectors were involved, and provide a detailed analysis to the customer to do X, Y, and Z in order to stop the attack, and also what to do to further harden their systems and network. So it's an awesome team that we have as part of the solution for any of the WebRoot products. Other than that, I'm going to turn the time back over to Eric. And Eric, if you have anything else to add, I'll go ahead and let you take it over.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dustin. I appreciate it. We did have a couple questions come in that you may be able to help us out with. The first one, it's a common question that we get. This is from Pravish. I'm going to butcher your name. I apologize. Cattell, I believe. But it says, on the server backup, how do we protect the data if our server is compromised? How do we stop ransomware from getting to the data or to the off-site cloud storage?
Sure. Great question. So one of the stop gaps we have in place with our solution, and this is generally the recommended deployment model if we're going to go to the cloud, it's our hardware as a service option. It's a device that we set up on site that the servers back up to, and that device replicates off-site. Obviously, we could do things like install the WebRoot client on there. We could lock down the system. Don't have it on the domain. Keep it off the domain. Disable remote desktop. Change the default passwords on there. If none of those help, then our last stopgap that does work and has worked for every customer we've worked with is our director software. This is the engine behind it. Will not replicate any change data. This is just the way we index the pull files when the servers are being backed up to that local appliance. The way we store it in the proprietary format. If that data is changed in any way, meaning somehow the ransomware or malware has gotten onto the appliance, we're not going to replicate that changed data. Our vault and our cloud will refuse that connection because it does not match what we have. That is one way. If you're going direct to cloud and the server gets encrypted, we're going to continue backing up that server. So that's a little different unless somehow the communication stops. So we still have the point-in-time recoveries to recover from, and minimum is 30 days of 30 rolling copies. Then we have a once-a-month copy. So usually it's once a day we're running that backup. So we have a good known copy that we can recover from. The great thing about the WebRoot client when you bundle this together is the WebRoot client runs at the kernel level. We have journaling capabilities to where if that does happen, we can report to you the point in time in which that happened to the endpoint, so we know the last known good backup to either roll back from the backup side, as well as the web root client, which can perform limited rollbacks as well on the journaling capabilities.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dustin. Hopefully that answered your question there. And another thing to point out, that even when we do go direct to cloud, our licensing model includes the licensing for a virtual appliance, right? So you don't have to purchase what we call the hardware as a service model, although if you were to look at the pricing, we make it pretty appetizing for you to do that. We want you to have that extra layer of protection, right? So from a pricing standpoint, we really do make it very affordable for you to have that local appliance. But if you don't have that appliance, or if you have your own piece of hardware, then we can actually include the virtual appliance with the cost of the cloud, right? So that comes out of the gate. It's going to be included, and then it's really just up to you to virtualize an appliance on the front end for it. We just need Justin, I believe, just a Windows front end. I mean, it's pretty simple. So, yeah, but reach out. I know that I believe we're getting past time here. So I do want to make sure that we're aware of everybody's time. But if you have any questions, please reach out to your Zunesis rep. Let us know, and we're happy to run through any demo or work on any of those trials that we discussed on the previous slide there. So anything else that we can help answer for folks before we go? All right. Well, fantastic. Well, we really appreciate your time here today, everybody. And again, please reach out if you have any questions.
Thank you very much.